Discover the incredible truth. Poor girl's unexpected call with CEO reveals hidden family secrets. Emma's fingers trembled around the phone as she stared at the caller ID. James Whitfield. Her heart raced. This couldn't be right. The CEO of a tech giant? Her estranged father? She had imagined this moment 100 times. But the reality struck with more force than she could have anticipated. She swallowed hard, hesitating, wondering if she had the bravery to pick up. Yet, the dream of a brighter future had always felt so far away. Today was different. A chance to escape the grips of her modest apartment and the weight of her mother's sacrifices. Hello? She managed to breathe out, the weight of the world resting firmly on her shoulders. Emma? It's your father, a smooth voice answered. Each word ignited a whirlwind of emotions within her: rage, confusion, and a flicker of curiosity. How had he dared to re-enter her life? The conversation flowed, revealing that her mother had made a remarkable breakthrough in her engineering field, a discovery that drew the attention of the tech giant. Emma could hear the excitement in her father's voice, but all she felt was bitterness. How could he be so casual about their estrangement while benefiting from her mother's hard work? Every mention of success, every demonstration of pride, cut deeper into her own reality, a world where she felt abandoned and alone. As the call ended, her mind spiraled. Was this a pretext for him to waltz back into their lives? She felt a tumultuous storm brewing within her. Why had her mother never spoken of him? Did she protect Emma from the truth? Or was it a refusal to confront the pain? Emma's heart ached as she pictured the father she always longed for, the life of ease and opportunity her friends took for granted. Instead, she was tethered to a world of struggle, bound to her mother's resilience and unwavering love. "Mom," Emma said, bursting through the door as soon as she got home. "I need to know why you never told me about him. Why didn't you ever mention James?" The anger bled through her voice as raw emotions spilled forth. Her mother, a fierce, proud woman, turned to face her. In that moment, Emma saw the weariness etched in her features, years of hardship reflected in her tired eyes. "We had to survive, Emma. Your father made his choices and left us. I chose you," her mother replied. Each word felt like a raw wound torn open again. Guilt, pain, and the crushing weight of unspoken truths echoed between them. Emma's chest tightened, her dreams of understanding and reconciliation feeling more distant than ever. Each passing day became an exhaustive unraveling of her family's past as Emma sifted through old letters and forgotten photographs. The discovery of her father's ruthless ambition became an inside joke among friends and a lingering wisp of bitter shame. But realizing what success meant to him horrified her. Did it truly require sacrificing everything good, everything real? Suddenly, she was standing at a crossroads between worlds. The image of her father, a figure of corporate glory, contrasted tragically with her mother's fierce devotion. As she prepared for their impending meeting, her stomach turned with anxiety. Would this encounter result in fulfillment or disappointment? As doubt clawed at her resolve, Emma felt torn, caught between wanting to bridge the chasm of familial love and fearing she might lose the very essence of who she was. Before she could spiral further, her phone rang, the screen flashing her father's name once more. Her heart sank as a text message caught her eye. "Let us meet at Café Paradiso tomorrow. I need to see you." The cafe held the promise of change, but as she stared at the entrance, trepidation washed over her. What if stepping inside unveiled more fractures than reconciliations? Would she set aside all she had learned from her mother for a glimpse of a life she didn't know existed? The air felt heavy as she wrestled with a decision that echoed long beyond that cafe door. Emma stood outside Café Paradiso, the comforting aroma of roasted coffee beans mingling with her anxiety. A weakness settled in her stomach, gnawing at her resolve. One deep breath. She could do this. The cafe was a symbol of countless other worlds available to her, worlds she had only seen in dreams or stories told by friends. Yet, this was no fairy tale. It was a reckoning inside. The bell chimed as she entered, its sound swallowed by the bustle of the busy patrons. She spotted him in a corner booth, casually scrolling through his phone, indifferent to the gravity of their meeting. As she walked closer, The familiar features of her father, a man whom she had only seen in photographs, came into view. The tension crackled between them like electricity. "Emma," he greeted, looking up and smiling with a confidence that seemed rehearsed. "James," she replied, the name catching in her throat, laden with emotion. They exchanged awkward pleasantries. How was school? What had she been up to? Each question felt like a hammer driving the stakes deeper into the wounds of their estrangement. Her mind raced with judgments, projecting clipped memories of her mother working tirelessly, filling every moment with love and lessons about resilience. Comparatively, here was James, seemingly existing at a distinct remove, a world of wealth and success that now felt repulsive. "I want to talk about your mother," he said finally, breaking the uneasy silence. His tone had shifted, acquiring an earnestness that took her by surprise. "Her latest project, it's something remarkable. I had no idea she was so talented." Emma was struck by the surrealism of his admiration. How could he claim to celebrate her mother's brilliance while abandoning them when it mattered most? "Why is it that you only reach out now?" she questioned, trying to keep her voice steady. "After all this time?" James leaned back, a flash of discomfort crossing his face. "I know I can't make up for the past, but I want to start fresh, Emma. I want to help." "Help?" The word hung in the air like an unsung promise. Emma felt her internal defenses rise instinctively. Was this just a facade to ease his conscience? Giving him an ultimatum would require courage, a moral stand that seemed daunting. He was a titan in his industry, yet her fear of his potential rejection felt like a blade in her heart. With each exchange, Emma began to navigate the depths of her feelings, battling the brain's duality between desire and disdain. She realized her mother's sacrifices had shaped her identity, sculpted her understanding of strength and authenticity. Slowly, she uncovered a fundamental truth about herself. She craved connection, but also deeply valued the principles that had anchored her through turbulent times. "Tell me about your work," Emma pressed, shifting the conversation away from her mother's past and toward the present, a strategic maneuver on her part. She needed to expose the man behind the corporate veneer. What were his true motivations? James launched into a detailed account of his company's latest endeavors, showcasing an undeniable passion. Yet, as she listened, Emma felt a growing chasm between herself and this man who once claimed her as his own. If this passion was rooted in corporate gain rather than genuine humanity, she would have to carve her own path entirely. "So, if you care about my mother," Emma started, feeling emboldened. "Do you value family? Or is it just part of your business strategy?" A flicker of surprise crossed his face, and he opened his mouth to respond, but the words never came, leaving a gaping silence that spoke volumes. Now, standing at a crossroads defined by intrigue and resentment, Emma questioned not just her father's intentions but her own readiness to confront the complicated legacy he represented. The lingering questions of loyalty and values weighed heavily upon her mind, propelling her toward a profound realization. In a world where ambition often clashed with emotional integrity, she would have to assert herself not merely as his daughter but as an individual. Determined to forge her own identity as the conversation hung in the air, Emma realized that the steps she would take next could either reinforce her roots or uproot everything she had come to know. A sharp breath reminded her of the stakes. Facing James could either illuminate paths of reconciliation or entrench her in deepening conflict. Could she trust herself enough to navigate this uncharted territory? Their eyes met once more, tension building, and she sensed the turning point was slipping closer. The moment of truth had arrived. Her next choice would shape not just their relationship, but the very essence of who she was becoming. "Let us not just talk. Let us truly understand each other," she finally declared, setting the stage for a confrontation neither of them was fully prepared for. As she spoke the challenge, Emma felt a rush of clarity and determination flood her veins. The contours of their future hung precariously in the balance, the outcome resting on this fragile connection. What truths lay ahead, ready to be unveiled? The air vibrated with possibilities, primed for a revelation that would redefine her past, present, and future. James shifted in his seat, the surprise in his eyes quickly replaced by a guarded expression. Emma could almost see the wheels turning in his mind, calculating how to respond to her bold declaration. A part of her wished she had softened her approach, but another part reveled in the courage that had surged forward. She held his gaze, searching for an indication of sincerity, but found nothing but the carefully curated facade of a businessman. "What do you want to understand?" he finally asked, his voice cautious, yet tinged with the urgency of someone who had never been challenged this way before. "What drives you, James?" she countered. "Is it really family, or is it all just a game of numbers?" The question hung in the air, a dare layered with personal stakes. Emma's pulse quickened. This was more than mere curiosity. It felt like a pivotal point in her life, a moment where she could either meld into the expectations of others or stand firm in her evolving identity. "I think about the choices I made," he began, seemingly cracking open for the first time. "The mistakes, the opportunities one let slip through my fingers. I didn't mean to." Emma offered him no reprieve, interrupting before he could weave excuse-laden justifications into his narrative. "You didn't mean to? Because that sounds eerily familiar. My mother didn't mean to carry the weight of all those years alone either." Her voice trembled slightly, revealing the depth of her struggle, torn between frustration and a flicker of hope. "I didn't know how to be a part of your life, Emma," he admitted, the vulnerability in his voice catching her off guard. "I thought leaving would allow your mother to thrive without the burden of my failures." His words, meant to convey empathy, struck her differently. Was he really as disconnected as he seemed, or was there an intentionality behind his choices? Emma felt the urge to retreat, but the weight of unresolved feelings anchored her where she stood. "Is that something you just tell yourself?" she probed, feeling emboldened. "Because a real connection doesn't come with conditions, James. You say you want to help, but how can you make amends after all of this?" He sighed, an exhale that seemed to release years of pent-up tension. "Maybe I don't know how. Maybe I'm afraid of failing again." There was a rawness in his admission she hadn't anticipated, a glimpse of the man beneath the polished exterior. For a moment, Emma felt a flicker of empathy, a bridge forming across their chasm rather than a wall. But just as quickly, self-doubt flooded in. Did she really want to tear down those walls? Could she trust herself to navigate this new dynamic? As thoughts flooded her mind, a revelation struck. Maybe this wasn't just about reconciling with him. Perhaps this was also a way for her to confront her own fears about family, ambition, and the ever-looming shadow of expectation. "If you want to help, there has to be honesty on both sides. I don't want the corporate version of you. I want to know who you are when the world isn't watching." This demand hung between them, charged with possibility. Emma realized she was also asking herself who she could become in the aftermath of these revelations. James nodded, a hint of clarity emerging in his eyes. "Let us start there then," he said, seemingly willing to peel back layers together. The cafe, once comforting, felt suffocating now, crammed with the urgency of their exchanges. The bustling noise faded into a backdrop of intensity, a stage for unearthing truths unsettlingly intertwined within years of silence. Emma knew that the dynamic had shifted. They were no longer simply a father and daughter caught in the web of past grievances. They were two individuals standing on the brink of an uncertain future, teetering between the scarred remnants of their relationship and the potential for something profound. "There is so much more to uncover," she reminded him, aware that navigating this terrain wouldn't be quick or easy. James nodded solemnly, ready to delve deeper. Emma felt a wave of adrenaline. She was poised to confront a journey of discovery, one that could unravel the very fabric of her identity. But as the moment settled, stuck in the atmosphere thick with unresolved tension, she wondered what more would come to light. Would the result of their searching lead her to embrace a new understanding of family, or to untangle painful truths that would break her heart all over again? Suddenly, the door to the cafe swung open, a gust of wind swirling in, carrying whispers of new possibilities. Emma turned, eyes widening there. In the entrance stood a figure from her past, someone she hadn't expected to see. The looming presence hinted at more than just family secrets. It felt like the harbinger of deeper conflicts to come. James, who is that? She breathed, her pulse quickening, ready to face whatever revelations awaited. Emma's heart raced as she locked eyes with the figure in the doorway. The world around her blurred. The sounds of the cafe dwindled to a distant hum. How had she never considered the impact of this moment? Memories, sharp and unrelenting, surged forth like an unwelcome tide. Is that? She started, her voice faltering as disbelief clawed at her throat. The face reflected was unmistakably familiar, the smile unmistakable, even with the years etched across it. Her childhood friend, Mia. The one who had slipped away from her life as easily as a morning mist. Mia? James said cautiously, glancing at Emma as though waiting for a cue in a play. Emma remained frozen, confronting a whirlwind of emotions. Mia had left all those years ago to follow her dreams in a world of glitz and glamour. Emma had watched her depart, shoulders relaxed and spirit high, a stark contrast to her own tethered existence in the shadows of familial obligation. Emma! Mia's voice broke through the haze, stirring the air with its warmth and familiarity. But layered beneath that cheer was a churning current of tension, an energy that hinted at unanswered questions that she would now be forced to face. As Mia approached, a storm of regret and resentment collided within Emma. Why now? Why here? The reconciliation she had envisioned with her father grew clouded with the specter of an unresolved past. The moment she had fought so hard to claim felt like sand slipping through her fingers. Why do you look so surprised? Mia smiled, but the light in her eyes seemed to dim. I just got back to town, thought I'd pop in and grab a coffee. Yeah, but after all this time, Emma mumbled, struggling to breathe. The ease with which Mia navigated the room reminded her of everything lost in the shuffle of adulthood. As adults, there were choices, recklessly made or gracefully avoided, but the implications were overwhelmingly daunting. James shifted, visibly rattled in the presence of the daughter standing on the precipice of fractures and newfound connections. Mia, how's your father? Has he settled? He's fine, busy as ever, she replied with a nonchalant wave. You know him, always chasing the next opportunity. Emma felt the weight of that statement. Chasing, but in pursuit of what? To stoke the same ambitions that had ripped vital relationships apart? Would they allow that terrible cycle to continue twisting and warping lives? Is the life outside this town really what you want? Emma challenged, the implications heavy on her tongue. She needed to understand where Mia stood in her life's grand scheme. Mia blinked, and with a shroud of honesty, replied, honestly? It's complicated. There's a lot more to it. But let us not do this now. There's too much to unravel. James glanced between them, caught in a web not of his making. This is all a lot to take in. We should know, Emma interrupted, an unfamiliar assertiveness brewing within her. If this meeting was about exploring truths, they couldn't step around the dormant shame, the vulnerabilities lurking beneath the surface. Mia, you disappeared. I thought maybe I could be free too. But what did that really mean for you? For us? Mia's expression shifted, the bond of their past becoming a fragile tether in the chaos of adulthood. We all have our paths to carve, Emma. Emma stood at the intersection of anger and sadness, the reality dawning on her. She gazed at James, their silent connection wavering, unsure of how this reunion would reshape their dialogue or derail it entirely. Mia, though a friend, was also a mirror reflecting choices Emma hadn't yet made. Maybe this was destined to happen, James mused, almost to himself. A chance for you both to clear the air? Emma scoffed, feeling the tension layer thick. What relief could come from a conversation steeped in uncertainty? But the urge to dodge the uncomfortable faded here was an opportunity to deepen her understanding of both Mia and her father through the lens of shared pain. Then let us lay it all out, Emma said defiantly, a challenge wrapped in determination. Because I refuse to carry the burden of silence. We can speak now, or we can surrender to pretending everything is fine. The three of them stood amid the cafe's chaos, poised on the brink of revelation. With newfound courage fueling her, Emma was ready to dig deeper, to find out what family really meant, tangled histories and all. But just as the first layers of peeling back emerged, Her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket, an unexpected message, a notification that changed everything, which could either lead to clarity or plunge her into deeper chaos. What now? She murmured to herself, the urgency of potential change swirling around her. Her future, scattered like the petals of a flower preparing to bloom, waited for her very next decision. Emma's fingers trembled as she pulled her phone from her pocket, the screen lighting up with a new message. It was from her mother. A simple but urgent text. "We need to talk. Now." It carried an unexpected weight, threatening to compress all the tensions of her life into a single moment. The air around her felt electric, charged with unspoken histories and impending decisions. A shift in the atmosphere around the cafe was palpable. The familiar banter of patrons faded to a dull buzz. She glanced at James, his brow furrowed in concern, as if sensing the stir of something deeper at play. Mia's voice broke through the thickening silence. "Emma, are you okay?" "Yes, no, she stammered, her mind racing. The possibility of that conversation rippling out ahead of her felt crushing, as though she stood before a door that led to a labyrinth of unexamined feelings. "Do you want to take a moment?" James asked, his tone laced with empathy. Emma weighed the options. She could respond to her mother now, promising an inevitable confrontation, or she could press on with Mia, peeling back the layers of a friendship that had once been sacred. Unraveling either thread felt dangerous. No, she decided firmly, breathing out a slow sigh. "I can't run from this." The gaze of Mia bore into her, probing and expectant. Emma could sense her childhood friend's own apprehension. This persisted within both of them, an unspoken burden steeped in years of silence. "Okay then, what do we need to talk about?" Mia prompted, leaning in. The dynamic had shifted between them, a sense of urgency unraveling the years of distance. Emma felt a wave of resolve swell within her, an ember ignited from the pile of ashes she had lived among for too long. "Why did you leave? Why now do I feel like everything is unraveling?" The questions hung in the air like uncut threads threatening to fray into chaos. Mia's expression faltered for a moment, the bravado melting away. I can't say there wasn't a part of me that thought we could pick up where we left off. But things change. The choices I made, they came at a price." The weight of Mia's truth was palpable. Emma felt herself inching closer to understanding the chasm that had formed, not just between them, but within herself. Were the dreams worth it? Mia? But before Mia could respond, Emma's phone buzzed again, the relentless urgency amplifying her anxiety. "You should respond," James encouraged gently. Emma raised her gaze to him, mortified by the urgency of the decision ahead. If she turned away now, would she walk into the unknown filled with unanswered questions? The internal push and pull spiraled within her. What is left for me to discover more about my past or the uncertain future? Maybe both, Mia suggested, instinctively stepping towards Emma. But you owe it to yourself to decide what matters most now. Don't the unanswered questions weigh you down? The truth in Mia's words resonated deeply, stoking the flames of determination flickering within Emma. She was no longer the girl who merely observed others chase dreams. She needed to pursue her own, despite the ghosts of her past. "All right," she declared, resolve hardening her voice. "I'm gonna talk to my mother. Whatever she wants can't eclipse the story we're trying to write together. We need to clear the air first." James nodded, a flicker of encouragement passing through his eyes, while Mia offered an understanding half-smile, steeped in nostalgia. But as Emma typed her reply to the message, the buzzing of her phone morphed into a grating reminder of the complexity of their trio. "Wait," Mia interrupted suddenly, a serious edge to her voice. "What if this isn't just a conversation about your family? What if it's about the truth of who we are as individuals? What if our choices were all part of a bigger picture?" Emma hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. Where was this taking her? Could this be another moment defining her journey toward empowerment and clarity? The weight of what Mia proposed loomed over her, the possibility of unraveling a hidden truth that could mesh their paths into something more profound. "What do you mean?" she asked, sensing the narrative shift. The answer flickered in Mia's eyes, but then a shadow crossed her face, and it vanished. Maybe you'll have to find out for yourself. The cafe felt cloistered, the walls echoing with the tension of unsaid truths, as Emma faced both a potential roadblock and opportunity for growth. With her pulse racing, she prepared to pivot, knowing the conversation with her mother awaited her, dangling the promise of revelations and reckonings. As she swallowed hard, she understood one thing clearly. This was just the beginning. Expanding her horizon would test her in ways she had never anticipated. But it was time to lay down the burdens that had haunted her. Then let us figure it out together, Emma asserted, clutching her phone tighter, a small beacon of intent in her palm as she steeled herself for the responses that would shape her fate. The steps forward felt daunting, yet thrilling, an inescapable invitation into the journey ahead. And with every heartbeat reverberating inside her, she was ready to confront the truth waiting on the other side of the call. Emma's heart raced as she finally hit send on her message, an undeniable mix of relief and dread washing over her. The decision had been made, and with it came an immediate weight. She could feel the cafe around her reestablish its ambience. But for Emma, everything had shifted. The world felt sharper, more persistent, as if her reality was a tethered string vibrating in the wake of her choice. James and Mia exchanged glances, their faces a blend of concern and encouragement. Emma attempted a brave smile but felt the crack in her composure. The familiar walls of the cafe receded as she ventured deeper into her thoughts, compelled by the potential for confrontation that loomed ahead. "Are you sure about this?" James asked softly, his brow still furrowed with concern. Emma fixed him with a steady gaze. "I have to. I can't keep avoiding what's right in front of me." She felt a sense of power flow through her, a spark ignited by her own resolve. The reality that her mother had reached out, her words a beacon through the fog of misunderstandings, stirred something within Emma. She had spent so long tiptoeing around their past that it felt utterly foreign to imagine facing it head-on. Yet the thought exhilarated her. Every unaddressed issue, every question left unanswered, felt like a chain link slowly rusting under the weight of neglect. Mia interrupted her thoughts. "You know I'm here for you, right? No matter what happens." Her voice was laced with genuine support, a steadying force as Emma prepared for her call. "Of course." "Thank you," Emma replied, her throat constricting slightly. She turned back to her phone, refreshing the screen, half hoping for an immediate reply to her message, half dreading what might transpire next. As if on cue, her phone buzzed again. A notification from her mother. "I'm free in 10. Call me then." Emma's stomach twisted at the brevity of the text. No pleasantries, no explanations, just an urgent command that echoed, urging her to connect and confront. "I guess I have a few minutes," she muttered, her thoughts already spinning. She glanced at James and Mia, seeking their support without uttering another word. Their presence felt like an invisible shield, protecting her as she prepared to step onto the battlefield of truths. Closing her eyes momentarily, Emma focused on her breathing. She envisioned herself standing at the edge of a vast cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. There were so many questions flooding her mind, and they settled into a singular, pivotal thought. What did she truly want from this conversation? It was far from simple, but she had to choose her angle. Determined, she murmured under her breath, "I want clarity. I want to understand." The minutes passed agonizingly slow as she practiced her breathing, gauging the best way to approach the impending conversation. It wasn't just about her mother. It was about her own awakening. Every unresolved conflict represented a flickering opportunity for growth. Finally, when the time came, Emma lifted her phone, her confidence momentarily shaken by the enormity of what she was about to do. She dialed, every ring amplifying her escalating heartbeat. The line clicked, and she heard her mother's voice on the other end, a mix of warmth and urgency. "Emma." "Hi, Mom," she said, the words tasting both familiar and foreign. Silence draped across the line, and Emma could almost feel her mother's discomfort. She took a deep breath, ready to peel back the layers of their estrangement. "We need to talk about everything." The response came slowly, laced with uncertainty. "What do you want to discuss?" Emma's resolve faltered for just a moment, but she shook it off. Let us start with why you reached out. The gravity of the moment crystallized around them, and Emma felt the weight of her choice resting firmly on her shoulders. Now, the conversation would take a turn, one that would either break her or lead her toward the liberation she so desperately sought. The echoes of unexamined truths and family secrets hung in the air, waiting to be uncovered. And Emma steeled herself, knowing that this conversation was only the beginning of a much larger story. What lay beyond would push her beyond the limits she thought she had, pulling them all into a broader narrative where every choice mattered. But what lay at the other end of that call? Would the truths that emerged bind them together or rip them apart forever? Emma took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay present despite the swirling thoughts in her mind. The silence that followed her mother's question felt heavy, weighty with the unspoken words that had lingered far too long between them. She was acutely aware of the stakes, the vulnerable ground they had to traverse. This was not just a conversation. It was a reckoning that could reshape her entire understanding of herself and her past. Why now? Emma pressed, searching for clarity in her mother's voice. You went years without reaching out. What has changed? Her mother sighed, the sound laden with years of unshared burdens. I've had time to reflect, Emma. Life has a way of forcing you to confront your decisions, and she hesitated. I want to mend what has been broken. There it was, the ghost of an apology, floating just out of reach. Emma felt a tingling sensation crawling up her spine. It was both unnerving and energizing. The key to understanding her mother was hidden beneath those layers of regret. What did you mean when you said my dad didn't want me? The question came out sharper than she intended. Silence ensued, an uncomfortable stillness that wrapped itself around Emma like a thick fog. She could almost hear her mother's heart racing on the other side of the line. That wasn't my decision to make. The reply was quick, defensive even, but Emma could sense the inner turmoil. I was scared, Emma. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me from what? Emma's voice rose, fueled by a mix of anger and curiosity. The boyhood memories of discarded birthday cards and missed school events merged in her mind. You left. How can you defend that? Because I believed it was the right choice at the time, her mother shot back, frustration threading her tone. Emma pressed her lips together, biting down on the frustration building within her. She was taken aback by her mother's inability to grasp the depth of her pain. Each apology felt like a band-aid on a wound that had never healed, and Emma realized that she was standing at a crossroad within herself. This was not just about her mother's reckoning. It was her opportunity to claim her voice, to assert her newfound identity that began unraveling at the cafe. Do you think I've never tried to parse through that confusion? Emma forced herself to articulate slowly. I've spent years feeling abandoned, unworthy. What if I wanted to confront those feelings? Emma, her mother's tone softened. I never intended. Intention doesn't matter if there's no follow-through. Emma interrupted, her conviction hardening further. I want you to admit that the past left scars on both of us. For a moment, her mother's silence felt like the deep end of a pool, dark and overwhelming, yet Emma stood firm on the precipice of vulnerability. I don't want to walk away like this again. Not anymore. The conviction was palpable, and an unfamiliar but empowering strength began to course through her. Okay, her mother conceded, almost breathlessly. Then let us talk about it. All of it. Emma felt a rush, a cascade of hope threading through the air around her. This was the opening she needed. But just as she prepared to dive deeper into the conversation, her mind sharpened with an unexpected realization. She needed to know who she was beyond this legacy of hurt. The liberating sting of this confrontation stripped away more than just the facade of estrangement. It revealed new dimensions of her personal truth. With that spark within her, Emma made a critical decision. Before we talk any further, I need to know what your role has been all these years. What did you expect me to be? The question hung in the air like a poised pendulum, each tick marking the uncertainty that awaited them both. But a few words came rushing out, shaping the narrative ahead. And what about me? Who am I meant to be now with all this clarity? She was no longer merely a product of her past, she was becoming a story in which she held the pen. And as they journeyed deeper into their dialogue, Emma understood that the truths waiting to emerge were not just about reconciliation. They were about rediscovery, leading to more questions entwined with her existence. But would these revelations stitch together their fractured bond, or unravel everything she thought she knew about her identity? Emma felt the weight of the moment swell ominously around her, and she braced herself for the next revelation that lay just beneath the surface. Emma lingered on her mother's last response, seeking clarity in the chaos that surrounded their conversation. Her heart raced, filled with both anticipation and dread. The stakes felt impossibly high. She could sense the delicate balance of their exchange, the intricate web they were weaving, yet each questioning thread pulled her deeper into the unknown. So, what was I supposed to be? Emma pressed, a tremor of vulnerability creeping into her voice. Did you ever envision me growing up? Or was I just an afterthought? She immediately regretted the sharpness of her tone, but a part of her recognized it was necessary. This was a reckoning not just for her mother, but for herself, a confrontation she had waited far too long to initiate. Her mother inhaled softly, the sound carrying both regret and the weight of unspoken truths. I had dreams for you, Emma, but they were based on my fears, not yours. I hoped you would be someone untainted by the realities of our past. Emma's mind reeled at the implications. Fear had colored her mother's dreams, but it had also stifled her own aspirations. Tainted how? These simple words formed the bridge she would need to cross into a realm of deeper understanding. By abandonment, by the weight of feeling unwanted, her mother confessed, her voice trembling at the edges. I didn't want you to go through what I did. The revelation cut through Emma like a knife. But you didn't give me a choice. Every year I painted myself in resentment, trying to fill the void you left. Now you want me to bear the burden of your fears. I never meant for you to carry that, her mother whispered, an edge of desperation creeping into her tone. I thought I was giving you freedom. Freedom? Emma felt a surge of indignation bubbling through her. All I felt is trapped by the memories of who I was supposed to be and who I became in your absence. In that moment, Emma's frustration morphed into a clarion call for her own identity. It wasn't merely about her mother's decisions or dreams. It was about awakening the dormant parts of herself that had been stifled all along. She could feel the tension coiling deep inside her, years of unanswered questions thrumming within. Who am I meant to be, then? She demanded, no longer merely seeking validation but rather a gasp of self-awareness that lay beyond her mother's expectations. An urgency edged into her voice. If I'm not shaped by your past, then what do I have to forge my own future? Her mother's silence now felt burdened by the gravity of the moment. Was she ready to confront the potential of Emma not as a reflection of her own fears, but as an individual capable of redefining her identity? Maybe that's the question we both need to ask ourselves. Her mother finally murmured, thoughtful vulnerability mingling with fear. What do you want, Emma? Who do you want to become? As Emma processed her mother's words, an unexpected clarity washed over her. It was no longer about seeking permission or reconciliation. It was about empowerment and choice. I need to explore what I want, Emma asserted, her voice gaining strength with each word. Not just for you or the past, but for myself. I want to invest in my strengths, find out what I'm capable of. If this is my story now, then it must be forged by my own hands. An image of her future began to crystallize amidst the emotional fog blocking her view. She could be someone who redefined her narrative, an echo of her past intertwined with new endeavors she had yet to pursue. For the first time, she felt capable of reshaping her identity beyond mere survival. But with this newfound resolve came an undeniable tension. Who would she have to confront, herself or the shadows from her past? Emma felt the creeping uncertainty of that impending choice, swirling just below the surface, challenging her to rise to new levels of understanding. I need to take the next step, Mom. It won't be easy, but it's necessary, she declared. I can't ignore this growth. I have to embrace it. The moment hung heavily in the air, anticipation thrumming between them. Would her mother support her journey, or would she retreat back into the comfort of old fears? As they both stood on the brink of transformation, a new thread of discussion hung precariously between them, laden with untold revelations still waiting to surface. But would Emma's commitment to self-discovery lead her closer to resolution, or would it push her further away from the only family she had ever known? Emma stepped back, her resolve hardening as the weight of their conversation settled. It was abundantly clear that this pivotal moment wasn't just about the relationship with her mother. It encompassed the very foundation of who she was and was yet to become. The walls of her childhood home, initially brimming with memories of neglect and longing, now felt increasingly suffocating. I can't keep waiting for someone to validate my journey, Emma thought, the words echoing in her mind, amplifying her steadfastness. The realization was bittersweet. She needed to break away from the script written in her mother's fears. The image of a new Emma, molded not by others but by strong determination, flickered in her mind like a candle flame fighting against the wind. Rather than succumbing to her mother's expectations, she envisioned charting a path rich with possibilities. The question, "What do I want?" roamed through her thoughts, illuminating aspects of herself she'd long buried. In her pursuit, more than just career ambitions lay ahead. It was a greater exploration of identity she had yet to grasp. Taking a deep breath, Emma made a conscious decision to transform her anger into action. She would no longer let resentment consume her. Instead, it would fuel her quest for better opportunities. No more shadows, no more guilt for wanting her own destiny. Perhaps it's time to reach out to others in my field, Emma mused, thinking about the connections she needed to forge. She had long been an observer in her career, navigating her way through tasks without taking ownership of her potential. She needed mentorship guidance from successful women in her industry who had bravely taken the plunge into their dreams. Emma's heart raced at the thought of those conversations, a mixture of excitement and trepidation coiling within her. She grabbed her laptop, her fingers trembling slightly as she opened a blank document. Networking felt like a foreign language, yet Emma was determined to learn. She would start small, sending emails, engaging on social media, attending local workshops. Each action would be a testament not just to her aspirations, but also to her commitment to redefine her narrative. Emma paused, her mind flooding with names and faces of potential mentors, women who had navigated challenges and emerged stronger. Women she admired from afar. They wouldn't steer me wrong, she thought, envisioning vibrant discussions about ambition and empowerment as she drafted her first email, articulating her interest in connecting with one of those women. Her internal dialogue shifted. The self-doubt which had so often plagued her began to disintegrate. Each word she typed echoed her newfound resolve. She would not merely be a vessel for her mother's ambitions, but instead, she would craft an identity steeped in her own passions. Just as she reached the final sentence, her phone buzzed, an unknown number flashing on the screen. Hesitation washed over her. Who could this be? She wondered, but a strange sense of purpose propelled her to answer. "Hello? This is Emma," she said, surprised by her steadiness. There was a brief pause before a steady voice responded. "Emma, this is Claire Roberts, CEO of Innovate Corporation. I came across your work through a mutual connection, and I'd love to discuss potential collaborative projects with you." Emma's heart leaped into her throat, her breath catching. This was a chance, an opportunity she had been seeking. But even amidst the excitement, swirling feelings crept back in, the familiar anxiety tugging at her core. Would she confidently articulate her ideas, or would old fears rear their heads? As she glanced at her reflection in the screen, a woman poised between two worlds, her past and a promising future, Emma realized this was the moment of truth. Her choices, her growth, would irrevocably shape not just her career but the very essence of her identity. "Let us set something up," she said, determination ringing clearly in her tone. As the details were exchanged, Emma felt every heartbeat echoing her resolve. There was no going back. Now, she was stepping into her future, the shadows beginning to lift. Yet, as they concluded the call, the question loomed larger than ever: would this meeting propel her towards the self-discovery she craved, or would it unravel her progress altogether? Emma's resolve settled into a fine rhythm as she stepped into her new trajectory. The air felt charged, tinged with anticipation and the sweet scent of possibility. Days turned into weeks, and Emma diligently nurtured her connections in the industry. Each conversation, every meeting sharpened her edge, providing frameworks for what her career could become. She no longer existed simply in the shadows of her mother's choices. She was stepping into the narrative that belonged to her. Her focus turned to the upcoming meeting with Claire Roberts, the CEO of Innovate Corp., a renowned company known for its disruptive innovations. Every moment spent preparing strengthened her belief in her worth. It deepened her understanding of the power she held to define her own identity. What I truly want matters, she reminded herself, pacing her small apartment filled with sketches, papers, and remnants of past doubts now transformed into stepping stones of growth. On the day of the meeting, Emma dressed deliberately, each choice representing not just professionalism, but a clear declaration of who she had become, a confident woman ready to showcase her ideas. As she approached the sleek glass building of Innovate Corp., her heart thudded with excitement and nerves. She was no longer just someone trying to make a name in a family shadow. She was a force in her own right. Once inside, Claire greeted her with a warm smile and an unwavering gaze that hinted at expectations. As they delved into discussions about potential projects, Emma found herself articulating her ideas with clarity and conviction. Each word woven was not only an expression of her vision, but also an affirmation of her competence. She could see the shifting dynamics. Claire's intrigue sparked a light in Emma, igniting her confidence further. "What drives you, Emma?" Claire asked suddenly, her curiosity piqued. It was a poignant moment, one that stripped bare the pretense of corporate formalities. "Your ambitions radiate more than just the need for success." Emma paused, her thoughts swirling around her personal journey. "It's not just about success anymore. It's about finally feeling in control of my identity. I want to build something meaningful not just for myself, but to encourage others to take ownership of their paths as well." As the words left her mouth, Emma recognized the profound shift in herself. Gone were the years spent entangled in the unfulfilled expectations of others. She was ready to forge a legacy of authenticity, a beacon for those who felt similarly isolated in their aspirations. Claire nodded appreciatively, her interest palpable. "That's refreshing, Emma. It's rare to find someone so passionate about both personal growth and collective upliftment. You may just be the voice we've been seeking." Emma's chest swelled with pride as ideas danced in her mind like flecks of golden light. Could it be possible that she was on the verge of a real opportunity? This was the validation she craved, not just from others but from herself. Proof that she could cultivate success while remaining true to her values. As their meeting concluded, Claire offered her a chance to collaborate on a new initiative aimed at empowering women in tech. The proposal sent waves of exhilaration through Emma, highlighting the depths of her transformation from uncertainty to resolute purpose. After leaving the meeting, Emma felt as if she floated above ground, her dreams aligned with her reality. She glanced at her phone, seeing if her mother had replied to her earlier texts. For the first time, the thought didn't fill her with apprehension. She was ready to face her mother with a sense of newfound clarity. The conversations of her past would finally coalesce with the identity she was forging now. "Mom," Emma said as she called her later that evening, "I need you to know that I'm moving forward not just for us, but truly for myself. I want you to be a part of that journey, but it has to be on the terms of honesty and integrity." Her mother's voice trembled on the other end. "I never wanted to hold you back. Understand, and I really want to support you, regardless of how difficult this may be." In that moment, Emma felt the years of tension begin to unravel. The bridge they had been cautiously mending shifted into solid ground. It was not just a conversation. It was the resolution of their shared struggles, laying bare their vulnerabilities, neither imposing nor eclipsing one another's journeys. Days later, Emma celebrated her first steps into a collaborative future with Innovate Corp., joining the ranks of powerful women in the industry as a voice that truly mattered. The tensions she once felt evaporated, replaced with solid confidence. She stood tall in her accomplishments, navigating the murky waters of family history, personal growth, and professional triumph. Surrounded by the support network she had built, Emma reflected on her transformation. It had required honesty, willingness to face hard truths, and the courage to carve her own path. She felt validated, not merely as a daughter attempting to reconcile past anguish but as a woman of competence claiming her rightful place. With unwavering determination, Emma was ready to embrace her future filled with authenticity, purpose, and the recognition that she had conquered the challenges once deemed insurmountable. The metamorphosis had manifested not only into personal fulfillment, but also propelled her into a promising realm where her voice echoed with clarity and authenticity, forever changing the narrative of her life. Now is the moment to seize your own journey of transformation. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on more inspiring stories. Leave a like now to nourish this channel's growth and keep these powerful narratives coming. Comment below your thoughts and theories about Emma's incredible journey. Share instantly with at least 5 friends who need this motivation today. Don't wait even one more second to be part of this movement of personal triumph.